Junior Community Service Award, January 18, 2016, presented to Tony Mayer and Iris Dudman, celebrating outstanding service to the Hastings on Hudson community.
Yes.
Okay, I want to thank Jerry and Merle and the committee for nominating Iris and me for the Community Service Award. It's really an honor and a humbling experience to be even a small part of the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. It's become part of the fabric of American culture that internationalism, multiculturalism, and community service are part of the celebrations of Dr. King. Thank you so much also, Dr. Peter Swiderski, for the nice introduction and also for coming to some of our student events over the years and meeting with our wonderful students. I wish to thank my wife, Iris, without whom, honestly, none of this could possibly have happened. Thank you, Iris. My parents were refugees from Hitler's Austria in 1939. I was born in England, I lived in Canada, and then we moved to New Jersey. Possibly living in 3 different countries made me feel a citizen of the world. And maybe that's why AFS felt special to me, because it provides intercultural learning experiences to individuals, but also to families, to schools, to communities, and to global partners, meaning other countries that exchange students with America. How did Iris and I get into the intercultural learning exchange business? Honestly, part of it was people before we ever moved here who were very active in AFS. I spoke to Sue Smith on the way here, and there were people in the 70s that were doing exchange student programs in Hastings. Iris and I attended a program by Dale Nybro. I don't know if any of you know him. Anybody know Dale Nybro? He was very involved with many activities in Hastings and in AFS. And our youngest daughter, who is here today, flew in from Los Angeles. She was honestly part of this also. Lillian became one of those excited high school students that came back to Hastings from living abroad. Lillian went to Holland in 2008, and she lived for a year. She didn't speak more than 20 words of Dutch. She lived with a wonderful Dutch family. She had to overcome isolation, learning a new language, living away from her family, riding a bike in the cold rain to school early in the morning in the fast bike lanes of rush hour. It's difficult. And I don't think living abroad is for every 10th grader. And honestly, living abroad in another country is difficult for everybody. But while it was difficult for Lillian, she also learned to eat raw fish in Holland. She learned about Indonesian food, Suriname food. She enjoyed meeting teenagers and other people from all around the world. And all these teenagers in Holland were sharing Dutch culture, the sea, tulips in the spring. Our daughter Rosa also studied abroad. She went to Ecuador, and she attended the marriage of her host sister and later the birth of her host sister's child. These bonds can last for a long period of time, international bonds. While Lillian was away in Holland, Iris and I decided to host a student from Egypt. And as you've heard, we got deeply involved in AFS activities and community service projects. Iris.
My turn. thank Tony, because I would never have opened my house to 30 people to dinner, 30 kids for dinner, and I would never have had teenagers in my house after my teenagers had gone if it hadn't been for him. When you get married, you don't know what you're getting into, but you know, you're open to it. It's really great to have another person drag you in a direction you wouldn't have otherwise gone. And it's been meeting these kids from all over the world who we're still close to, having friends all over the world. I'm not a big, giant traveler, but I feel like I live in Hastings and the world comes to us, and it's lovely. Most Americans don't know all that much about the rest of the world. And they don't know what goes on in these countries. They don't even know the names of the countries. In another school district, not in Hastings, but in another school district last year, there was a kid from Egypt, and people ask her, do you live in a pyramid? Do you ride a camel to school? And when foreign exchange students come to America, they don't know much about America. They know what they've seen in the movies, and that's about it. So last fall, I was down at the riverfront with a kid from Bangladesh, and he looked across at the Palisades, and he said, are there Indians that live over there? I bet there are. And our student from Egypt, Ziad, when he came, he said he thought that there were going to be wild animals up on the streets, and he thought that everybody was going to have guns. And you know what? A lot of people do have guns, not in our town, but unfortunately, and we have a lot of deer. So he wasn't that far off. So as you've heard, we hosted a bunch of kids, and we hosted them right before, in several cases, right before their countries really fell into terrible times. We had a student from Egypt right before the Arab Spring. We had a wonderful girl from Ukraine right before there was fighting there. We had a kid from Yemen right before that country is just about falling apart. And also students from the Netherlands and Indonesia. And other families in Hastings recently have hosted kids from Germany, Italy, the Dominican Republic, last year from Japan. At the moment, one of our neighbors is hosting Giovanni from Italy, who is in the Hastings High School, and I'm really hoping you're going to be in the play, because I would like to see you on the stage. I'm pushing that. And right now we have guests from Thailand in our house. She's in between families, and she is staying with us and commuting to the city, getting up at 6:45 and taking the train. And this weekend, we have Saad from Pakistan here, staying with another family. Yes. So this is a welcoming town. Having these students in Hastings helps the Hastings kids care about the rest of the world. Once you know a little bit about something, you care about it a lot more. So when people from Hastings wrote on the Facebook to this kid in Yemen saying, are you okay, what's going on? They'd never heard of Yemen before he came to the school. And that is wonderful, that we start to know about the rest of the world. Hastings has opened its hearts and its homes to AFS students. And both the kids who are here, people come for the year, but they also, these families that open up for a weekend, and the kids come and stay with them, they have breakfast with them, they get to know another American family. Because as you know, if you just know one American family, you don't know America, because America is so complex. So one of the reasons that Tony and I have organized these community service projects is to help to give back to Hastings. Hastings that's been so kind to all these kids. And there are towns in Westchester that won't take foreign students. Some of the richest towns in Hastings, in Westchester, they don't want their tax dollars going to have a foreign student in their school. But our high school has been incredibly welcoming. Our school board has seen the value of it, and I think that our students have benefited. And then students in Hastings have gone overseas, as we said. Lillian went, but also we've sent students to Spain, France, Turkey recently. And right now we have Terrence Nugent is in Japan. He's now fluent in Japanese, and this New Year's, we heard that he had gone to visit the Japanese student who was here last year. They had New Year's celebration in Japan with her family. So that's nice.
There are many of the families that have shared their homes with Hastings students here today. I thought I could see you all and recognize you and thank you all individually. There are actually quite a few families here, and I'll just thank you en masse. And thank you so much for hosting the students, and we really appreciate it. We look forward to our next event where we will be having a recognition of International Women's Day, and we have other programs coming. I just want to close with 2 more sentences. We have a Thai student with us, as Iris mentioned, and last 3 or 4 days ago, she left school. She went to the Brooklyn Bridge with a kid from Turkey and a kid from Japan. They shot a beautiful picture of these 3 17-year-olds having met and formed bonds that who knows how long they'll last. It was a beautiful image. Let me say, Iris and I are honored to be able to be here before you all, my friends, my family, and our community. Thank you.